Hey there and welcome. It's funny. How can a simple little cold, something we all get, sometimes cause a headache so crushing it makes you feel like something is seriously, seriously wrong? Well, today, we're going to break down the fascinating biology behind exactly that.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? It is honestly terrifying. It starts with a sniffle, maybe a little cough, and then bam, your head is just pounding, your heart feels like it's racing, and you feel genuinely deeply unwell. You can't help but wonder, is this just a cold or is something else going on? We are going to demystify that exact feeling right now.
All right, so let's get right into it. This whole crazy chain reaction begins, and this probably won't surprise you, with your body's own amazing defense system just doing what it's supposed to do. See, when a virus kind of sets up shop in your nose or throat, your immune system doesn't just fight it right there. Oh no. It sounds a massive system-wide alarm. It's like sending out an SOS, releasing these chemical danger signals that travel everywhere through your bloodstream to tell your entire body, hey, we are under attack. And these are the actual messengers we're talking about. Now, don't worry about memorizing these names, that's not the point. Just know that things like cytokines and prostaglandins, they aren't just random little signals. They are the official chemical commanders that kick off a huge coordinated inflammatory response. And it happens everywhere. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of it. It's not about one symptom, it's a cascade, a biological domino effect. One single defensive action systematically triggers the next one, and that one triggers the next, creating that completely overwhelming feeling of just being sick. So let's zoom in on that headache for a second. As those inflammatory signals we just talked about reach your brain, they start to irritate its protective outer layers and cause the blood vessels to swell up. This creates something called an inflammatory headache, and trust me, it feels totally different from your average everyday tension headache. And here's why it feels 1,000 times worse. A tension headache? That's usually just muscle strain, right? It feels like a tight band around your head. But an inflammatory headache is driven by your own body's chemistry. It actually makes your pain receptors more sensitive, which is what causes that deep, pulsating, whole head kind of pain that, you may have noticed, doesn't really respond that well to a couple of painkillers. But wait, it gets even better. The pain isn't just coming from that chemical storm. Nope. At the exact same time, your body is churning out all this thick mucus, right? Which causes all that sinus and nasal congestion. Well, that adds a second force. Physical, mechanical pressure, pushing from the inside out. It's this 1-2 punch of chemical irritation and mechanical pressure that makes that headache feel so unbelievably intense. So what's really happening here is that your body recognizes this is a serious fight, and it shifts gears into what scientists call the acute phase response. You can basically just think of it as full-on survival mode. It strategically starts rerouting all of its resources. We're talking blood flow, energy, everything, away from normal stuff like digestion, and channels it all toward fighting this infection. And that is why everything else starts to happen. That racing heart, that bone-deep fatigue you feel, the bloating or maybe some acid reflux, even just that general achiness all over, none of that is random. It is all part of one single, brilliantly coordinated defense plan. It's your biology firing on all cylinders.
Okay, so we've got inflammation, we've got pressure, we've got a body in full-on battle mode. But what's the one thing that takes this whole situation from just feeling bad to feeling absolutely miserable? Well, there's a crucial plot twist here, and its name is dehydration. This is probably the best way to think about it, truly. The infection itself, that's what starts the problem, right? It lights the fire. But it's dehydration that comes along and acts like gasoline, just pouring fuel all over it, causing every single one of those symptoms to absolutely explode in severity. So let's break down exactly how it does so much damage. When you're even a little bit dehydrated, your blood literally gets a bit thicker, which makes that pulsating vascular headache way worse. Your brain's pain receptors become even more sensitive to everything. And to top it all off, your mucus gets thicker, which cranks up that mechanical sinus pressure we talked about. Dehydration makes every single component of feeling sick worse. It's that simple. So now that we know all these scary mechanics, let's get to the most important part of this whole explainer. Why you really don't need to panic. Because once you understand what's happening, you realize this isn't some runaway train. It's a temporary, reversible, protective plan.
So let's just put this in really, really simple terms. What this process is a totally normal, infection-driven inflammatory cascade that gets a whole lot worse when you're dehydrated. It's a protective response, and it's completely reversible. Now, what this process is not. It is not a stroke. It is not a brain infection. It is not some mysterious, terrifying condition. It's just your body's biology working exactly the way it was designed to.
So what have we learned? What should you actually do with this information? First, remember that it's totally normal for a little local infection to cause massive whole body symptoms. Second, that brutal headache you get when you're sick, it's inflammatory, not just tension. Which means, and this is the most important one, hydration is absolutely critical. And here's the best part. If you start chugging fluids and you start to feel better pretty quickly, that is a fantastic sign that you're on the right track.
So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you understand the why behind all of these intense symptoms, the chemical cascade, that two-pronged headache, and the massive role of hydration, how is that going to change the way you approach your next sick day? Something to think about. Thanks so much for digging into this with me today.